if we look at the Palisades and Eaton fires, what has been rebuilt at this point?
Well, rebuilding is getting off to a slow start. Only a handful in each of the two main fire areas of homes have gotten certificates of occupancy. About close to 3,000 or 4,000 have applied for building permits. About half of those have been, completed. And there's about 600 or so between the two areas that are under construction. And so, like less than a tenth anyway, are at some stage of the pipeline with double that amount, 20 to 30%, let's say, that have applied. The majority of property owners haven't really figured out what they're trying to do.
Because why, John? And walk us through why the build back there isn't more that's been built back, that more activity isn't happening in bringing these communities back.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big problem is money. There's two big numbers to look at. One is $40 billion in insured losses. Another big number is as much as $131 billion in estimated property and economic losses. So you've got a third of the amount to recover from this thing insured, and the insurance companies are paying out very slowly. Many people we talk to, for example, in our story, there's a woman named Pauline Ching who got a home guaranteed price of about $400 a square foot. She has good coverage with farmers insurance, and she's still rebuilding her house, going to need $350,000 more than what is covered by her insurance policy. So where does that come from? She is joining a group of people that are suing the utility, Southern California Edison, that is alleged to have a power line that sparked the fire to begin with in their area. So it's going to take years to resolve that lawsuit. Other people are taking deals that Edison is being offered. Other people in the Palisades area are suing. And there's also several hundred lots that are up for sale, and people are, taking half as much as the pre-fire value for the lots.
Yeah, John, following this, one of the big questions was about the regulatory environment in California, and there have been a lot of complaints for many years about how difficult it is to build in California. We could do an entire segment just about that, and it's something you're very familiar with. Is there bottleneck at all as a result of local politics, local regulation, local red tape? Because officials promised that this would not happen.
Yeah, well, how can I say this diplomatically? But basically, if you build a like-for-like home with plans that are like standard approved and, meet all the specific building codes and stuff like that, you can get approval pretty fast. Okay. For example, Pauline Ching, our illustration number one, her contractor filed plans, and it took about 2 months to get full approval. She was the first of this group. People who were later in the group, using the same contractor and similar plans, are getting approved even faster. So there's a certain amount of learning context. However, if you go over to Malibu, where you're building right on the beach, or you're building up in the hills where there's uneven terrain, or you're building something that's different from what was there before, people haven't even begun to start applying, because just the process of figuring out the engineering, figuring out the design, and then going through the whole approval process is like, it's going to take a long time.
John, how many are just saying, I'm out, I'm just going to sell, I'm done?
Well, yeah, there's about 1,000 lots in the whole area that have been put on the market. About half of them have found a buyer. So 500 roughly have found a buyer. 40% of the buyers are investors who plan to fix and flip. There's this one group of buyers I talked to. They're actually from New Zealand originally, the Mowbray brothers. Their company bought 16 lots on the ocean in Malibu. They paid $128 million for all 16, and they expect to rebuild. It'll cost them double that to build on top of the land and sell all that 128 million initial investment for about 400 million. It'll take them 2 years, end of 2027, if everything goes according to plan. And that's a big if. There.
Well, they're building
It
a
costs
unique type of home.
Yeah, well, they have their own design, and this wasn't detailed in the story, but these guys are originally toy manufacturers, and their strategy for making toys, they're going to translate into building houses and sort of do this highly efficient, they say, manufacturing, pre-manufacturing, delivering the parts there, just like they're making giant toys only to live in for these sites. And so the actual building of the house itself is not as complicated as the platform that you have to put together on the beach.
Okay.
Drive down these giant caissons, have septic tanks that are walled in 100 feet deep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really complicated.